Can I start?
Yes, sir. Start, sir.
Yes, sir, I am ready. Okay, sir.
Start
Thank
the
you.
class,
Thank
sir.
you. Good afternoon. Okay, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon, students. This is Dilip Kumar from PGT in English from TSRS and Junior College from Bandarupally. And today's short story, actually, it is a comes under the module 4, and it is a short story part, which is it is not a total short story, but some part of the text has been given. The short story name is The Antidote. It was written by R.K.Narayan. So most of you might have heard his name, R.K.Narayan, probably in the ninth class. It is in the ninth class, Swami and Friends, which was a prose lesson you might have in the ninth class English. So the particular author has the same person has been written this antidote. So first of all, just have a look at the pre-reading section for your convenience. I'm telling the page number 148. In that you can see it is the pre-reading section, and just have a look. You are living in your house and someone sneezes. Do you tiring for a moment? That means, uh, or do you become confused or do not do not resume your journey? You are walking on the road and a cat crosses your path. Do you feel uneasy? In many households in India, Janma Patrikas or horoscopes are prepared as soon as a baby is born. All of you have the same kind of experience here. And the next, astrologers are consulted on many occasions, whether it is to fix muhurtam for a marriage or gruha pravesha, or to fix the ideal date and time for setting out on a journey. Setting out on a journey means go for on a journey. Suppose a person is unable to follow the advice of an astrologer, what should he do? Some remedial measures are then recommended by astrologers. Read on to find out one such instance. Instance means example in a typical Arcana story. So the story is very funny story, and it is about our superstitious beliefs. Okay, just have a look at the author. About the author, R.K. Narayan, Rasipuram Krishnaswamy Iyer. Narayan is one of the most widely Indian writers of English. Along with Mulkuraj Anand, Raja Rao, he is regarded as one of the pioneers of fiction in Indian English. His books include Swami and Friends, The Bachelor of Arts, The Man-Eater of Malgudi, The Vendors of Sweet. R.K. Narayan was awarded the Sahitya Academy Award for the novel Guide. It is the famous work of R.K. Narayan, The Guide. Most of his works are set in Malgudi, a small imaginary town in South India. And in Doordarshan, these stories have been telecasted in a series manner. So the stories depict the day-to-day lives, hopes, and troubles of ordinary people. Um, they are marked by gentle irony and satire. The Antidote is a story taken from the Lovely Road and other stories. As I told you before, it is not a complete book. So the book which is penned by R.K. Narayan, the book name is the Lovely Road and other stories. In that book, it is one of the story. Okay. So next, about the lesson. What is about the lesson? Just most for your kind information, I would like to tell you here that the most part of the lesson will be covered in this section itself. So just have a patient look at the about the lesson part, because it is going to be the in detail explanation about our short story. So just have a look. The Antidote is a gentle satire on the superstitious nature of people in India. It is not only illiterate people but also educated people who blindly believe the predictions made by astrologers. Sometimes an astrologer may claim that a person's horoscope something inauspicious. Remedial measures are suggested, much like what's the criteria in hope that such method or at least mitigate. Just have a look. So the lesson name is Antidote. What is the meaning of antidote? Answer. which tracks the effect of understand the so if somebody wants to suicide by having a kind of the local doctor right like the local doctor makes him drink some kind of water which is or something else. So the person what he can does, then he vomits whatever the substance he consumes. So like this one, it is that means anything which can counteracts the effects of something. So and the antidote is a gentle satire on the superstitious nature of people in India. Superstitious means whether we don't know whether all those things are right or wrong, but we blindly believe in that things. It is not only the illiterate people but also educated people who blindly believe the predictions made by the astrologers. What do you mean by predictions? Predictions are that means not based on the reality. They will tell what will happen. There is no scientific reason about their claimings, but it is that's all. They are termed as predictions by astrologers. Who is the astrologer? For your kind information, astrology also is a subject to study, but there is no scientific proof that sometimes it no one can say 100% right, no one can say 100% wrong. But astrology is something different, conflict oriented subject, because we cannot go into deeper about the subject because we are not the astrologers. And astrology is also a subject. Okay. Sometimes an astrologer may claim that the person's horoscope forbids something inauspicious. What do we mean by forbodes? Forbodes means warns what will happen in the future. You are going to face some kind of threat. So these kind of things forbodes by regarding the inauspicious. What do you mean by inauspicious? Something bad will happen. So remedial measures are suggested, much like an antidote. For that also, what will happen if the astrologer predicts some inauspicious things will happen in our life? Along with the things, he can assure us some kind of remedial measures. So counteract the negative effects of the stars. Gods are propitiated. What do you mean by propitiated? Much like doing extra pujas in order to get the favor of the gods. It is the particular word can be called as propitiated. Gods are propitiated in the hope that misfortune will be averted. What do you mean by averted? Escape. In order to escape the misfortune, we will worship the gods. Okay. So are at least mitigated. That means even the intensity of the misfortune will be reduced by doing so. So all these suggestions will be given to us by the astrologers. So it is all the story is about such kind of in context, right? Just have a look at the story. Gopal, the protagonist of the story, is a film hero. One day on the sets, he has to enact a death scene. Gopal is agitated. He implores the director to change the story. Surprised at Gopal's strange behavior, he asks what the matter is. Gopal reveals that it is his birthday that day. Uh, it is his 49th birthday. Astrologers had predicted that he might not live till that age. However, if he did survive his 49th birthday, he could look to happy and peaceful future. Gopal adds that before coming to the sets, he propitiated the planets and had partaken in a feast with his family. He had advised by astrologers not to do anything unpleasant that day. Right. First of all, the story, the what is the in the story, Gopal is a character. Gopal is the protagonist of the story, and he is a film hero. He is a film hero. One day, as usually, he went to the sets. One day on the sets, he has to enact a death scene. That means when you get into the story, it was the last day of the shooting. So on that day, it was the last scene that on the he has to enact a death scene. That means he needs to act in the death scene. Gopal is agitated. That means he feels very nervous. Why? Implores the director to change the story. After hearing this thing, you have to enact the dying scene. He becomes very agitated and implores. What do you mean by implore? Begged. He asked earnestly, the director, please change the story, sir. Surprised at Gopal's strange behavior, the director asked, what is the matter is? So the director, if you go through the story, you can come to know that the director is the person who treats the actors like a puppets because they have to do what the director said. So now the Gopal is begging the director to change the story. So it is very strange to the director from Gopal because of his behavior. Gopal reveals that it is 14, that it is his birthday is 49th. That means Gopal tells him that, sir, today is my birthday, that to be 49th birthday. Right. Astrologers had predicted that he might not live till that age. All these dialogues have been told by the Gopal to the director. What he is saying, sir, today my birthday. My astrologers have told me that I could not have been successfully lived till this age. And however, if he did survive his 49th birthday, he could look to happy and peaceful future. And he tells the director the same thing, sir. As per the astrologer's point of view, I could not have lived longer till 49th birthday. But if I cross my 49th birthday, there will be no danger for me in simple terms. Gopal adds, again he is telling more. What is that one? Gopal adds that before coming to the sets, he propitiated the planets. What do you mean by propitiated? Just now I have told you that. Propitiated means that performed various pujas, various worships. He propitiated gods and planets and partaken in a feast with his family. What do you mean by partake? That means consume, take in. That means because all the family members have known this one, that means he has turned 49th. So there is no more any problem for the Gopal. So all they want to enjoy the day. So they have arranged a feast. In that feast, also the Gopal has participated. That means he has spent his time with his family members. So he had partaken in a feast with his family. Feast means a luxurious, sumptuous meal. He had advised by the astrologers not to do anything unpleasant that day. So till now, everything goes very smooth. So astrologers had advised him, okay, you have turned 49th birthday today. So for last thing is you should not do any kind of unpleasant things. But Gopal has to enact a dying the scene on the same day. The director sympathizes with Gopal. Plight means the sad situation of the Gopal because it is his birthday. The director wants to enact him. That means act in the dying scene. He sends for the script writer to see if the ending can be changed. So the director sympathize. Uh, let me complete the readout. But the man refuses to alter the story. Suggests this that that they speak instead of the boss. Gopal attempts to convince the boss that the audience would reject the sad scenes, but the boss counters him with statistics. He claims that the tragedies earn 30% more the box office than happy films. The director coaxes Gopal to get ready. With each passing moment, Gopal feels the noose tightening round his neck and realizes that there would be no escape. He is overcome by sense of doom. He could refuse to proceed with the scene, but then his family would be on the street. What choice did he really have? Right. The director sympathizes with Gopal's plight because he understood the situation of the Gopal because it is the auspicious day for him. But and even that to be is in the prediction that if anything inauspicious thing if he performs, it might lead to some kind of danger to the Gopal. So the director sympathizes with him. So what he has done, he sends for the script writer if any possibility is there to change the scene. That means change the script, but the man refuses to alter the story. You know that one. What do you mean by ALTR? Alterations, changes. So the scriptwriter doesn't want to change the story and suggest he needs to speak with his boss. I think whom you hear, the boss is the person who represents producer. Okay, so Gopal attempts to convince the boss that the audience would reject the sad scenes, but the boss counters him with statistics. Just have a look at. So first of all, director sympathizes with Gopal. So he asks for change the. He asks the scriptwriter, "Is there any chance to change the story? That means ending." So the scriptwriter said, "It is not possible for me." So what he has done, instead of that one, he has given a suggestion to talk to the boss. Who is the boss? Producer. So that's in order after going to the boss, our Gopal tries to convince the producer by saying like this one, sir, our our film is going to end with a sad scene. So it is not for good for us because the people tend to watch the happy ending films, but the producer, the boss, rejects the claims of Gopal, saying like this one. He claims that tragedies earn 30% more at the box office than happy films. I hope you cannot agree with this sentence of the boss because just have a look at. I would like to quote some of the films like Matru Deva Bhava. When in the 1980 1990s time, Matru Deva Bhava, which is the total film is filled up with tears, but the movie is very great success for this generation. I would like to tell you the particular movie Mahanati. Even though the second half of the Mahanati is the very sad moments each scene contains, but the film becomes as earned great success, isn't it? The same thing. The He claims that the tragedies earn 30% more at the box office than happy films. So the director is left with no chance, and Gopal needs to follow the suggestions of everybody. The director coaxes Gopal. What do you mean by coaxes? Tries to appease him, tries to convince him. The director coaxes Gopal to get ready. With each passing moment, Gopal feels the nose tightening around the neck. That means he feels very much suffocated. That means what do you think? The feels nose tightening around his neck means that he doesn't have any kind of chance to escape the situation, and realizes that there would be no escape. He is overcome by a sense of doom. What do you mean by doom? Doom means a great tragedy. So he feels such kind of nervousness. He could refuse to proceed with. He have one chance. So what is that one? He could refuse the scene. He could refuse the film. But by doing so, what the consequence? But then his family would be on the streets because he is a hero. If he says, if he rejects the directors, there would be no future chances for the Gopal. So he doesn't want to take risk by saying no to the director. What choice did he have? The director at last takes pity on Gopal and asks him if he would enact the scene the next day. Gopal is greatly relieved and agrees, but the assistant tells them that and states that the shooting would have to be completed that very day, as another unit would be shooting at the studio next day. Gopal is now resigned to his fate. The people around appear to be the messengers of death. Well, there is no point in trying to evade the destiny. He might well face it. He announces that he is ready to die. Right. The director, all the even after all the chances which are put in by the director to change the script and consulting the boss or something else, the director even takes pity. That means he is very much sympathetic towards the Gopal. So he offers Gopal the scene. He offers him if he would enact the scene the next day. That means, okay, Gopal, it is the 49th birthday today. It is not going to be very good for you. If you feel so, are you happy acting the same scene tomorrow? So Gopal is greatly relieved. That means he becomes very much relieved means he become very much relaxed because okay, by tomorrow onwards there would be no problem as the astrologer has said. So he relieved and agrees, okay sir, I'll do it tomorrow. but the assistant interrupts them. Sorry, here one word has missed. Interrupts them and states that the shooting would have to be completed that the very day. Why? As another unit would be shooting at the same studio at the same place the next day. So okay, everybody agrees. Director had given an offer. Gopal is ready to agree that one. That means tomorrow they are going to end the scene. In the meanwhile, an assistant has interrupt that means he he told the director, "Sir, we need to pack up our shooting today itself, as the another shooting has to be taken place at the same time." Even they felt that it has been very late for them. So at any cost, we need to complete the shooting today itself. So now Gopal is left with no chance at all. So Gopal is now resigned to his fate. What do you mean by resigned to his fate? That means he, he loses his hopes. That means he is ready to accept any kind of destiny, any kind of consequences. Okay, so Gopal is now resigned to his fate. The people around appear to be the messengers of death. That means the director, the assistant directors, everyone uh, are seen as the messengers of the death for Gopal. Well, there was no point in trying to evade the destiny. What do you mean by destiny? That means destiny is what is to be happen in the future. So he thinks himself that is no point, there is no chance to evade destiny. What do you mean by evade? Avoiding. So I cannot change my fate or I cannot change my future. So he might as well face it. He is ready to face it. Whatever it happens, I am ready to face it. He announces that he is ready to die. You can see the die is symbolized, the die is put in inverted commas. That means in the acting scene and at the same time in the real life also, because he is taking the dangerous step, because the astrologer has advised him not to do any unpleasant things on that day. So he is ready to die. All get ready for the shot. All get ready for the shot. And the director shouts, "Action!" Gopal enacts the details of the scene. As instructed earlier, he drops the telephone and lets his head roll to a side. It is indeed a very convincing scene of a man dying of shock. The director is relieved and happy. But before he can say cut, Gopal does something which he hopes will not be noticed by anyone. He looks at the camera and winks thought at it. The little movement of the eye is Gopal's way of convincing himself that he is not really dead. It is the antidote. It is an antidote to the ill omen that might befall him for doing an inauspicious thing, enacting a dying scene on his birthday. Right. So everybody gets ready because the Gopal has decided himself. So I am ready to face whatever is going to happen for me. So I'm ready to face it one. And so the director shouted, "Action!" Gopal enacts the details of the scene. So before for this one, I would like to tell you about the scene. So in this particular scene, for your kind information, the director is the person who treats the actors as the puppets. That means they have to do whatever the director says. So even he could not tell the scenes for them before rehearsal. So on the sets itself, he reveals what he has to enact. For that one, he gives the time for them to do more practice, and then and there itself they take the shoot, and that means the actor also doesn't know what the story is. So on that day, that means on the 49th birthday of the Gopal, so the director tells him that he needs to act in the scene of talking to the one person over the phone. So and he even guides him after how many rings he needs to attend the call, and after talking to him how his face expression should be and everything. So after that one, the Gopal did whatever the director says so, and after that one the shot is over. The director feels very happy because the Gopal enacts the scene very well. After that one, so the Gopal is trying to go to home, because in the next scene there is no words at all. So the Gopal gets ready. In the second scene, it is the last scene. So he tells the director tells the Gopal that you need to take the phone and you have to uh, heard the news of the other side. So we don't know who the other person is. and you need to say, "Oh, is that so?" And you need to keep the phone aside, and you need to you roll your head to another side, and you need that means it is a shocking news for the Gopal. Without bearing, unable to bear the shocking news, the Gopal has to die. It is the it is the scene. So the Gopal, we have come across whatever has happened till now. So the Gopal, that means he has to enact the dying scene, and he needs to how dying of shock. What do you mean by dying of shock? There is a bad news for Gopal. As instructed earlier, he drops the telephone and lets his head roll to a side. It is indeed a very convincing scene of a man dying of shock. That means that that means Gopal needs to act as if he is dying really due to a shock. The director is relieved and happy because Gopal enacts that scene in a very much convincing manner. So that our director feels very happy because the scene is very successful. Gopal acts in that manner, and before he can say a cut, Gopal does something which he hopes it will not be noticed by anyone. So meanwhile, in the fraction of time, our Gopal has done something as something. What is that one? He looks at the camera and winks hard at it. What do you mean by wink? కనుగొట్టడం అన్నట్టు. He looks at the camera and winks hard at it. The little movement of the eye is Gopal's way of convincing himself that he is not really dead. That means you know that one. His astrologers had told him that you should not do any kind of unpleasant things on that day. So you know that one how what the situation has been happened over there. There is no chance for the Gopal to escape the day. So he has decided to act the dying scene. And the Gopal, even though Gopal is ready to act the scene, in his thoughts is very much perplexed. So if I act the dying scene as it is, if any unpleasant thing might happen, so he's very much frightened. So in order to make himself confident that he is not died, what he has done, he winked his eyes towards the camera. So it is the antidote. It is the antidote of the Gopal for his unpleasant things. So it is right. It is an antidote to the ill omen that might befall him for doing inauspicious thing, enacting a dying scene on his birthday. So in order to convince himself, the Gopal, in order to convince the Gopal himself, so what he has done, he winks the hard his right eye towards the camera. So by doing so, he feels that I is not dead anymore. So I did not die. It is the concept. In order to make himself convinced, he winked hard to the camera. Okay, so it is all about the story. I hope you all observe the words, and for your convenience, I'm going to tell you what are the words: antidote, and so there are so many words are there. This is the short story. I hope just go through the story, and if you feel that means it is very much important for us. Hello, 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 hello.